Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the LitRPG Podcast, episode number 202 of the show. I am Ramon Mejia. I'm here to bring you the latest LitRPG news, reviews, and of course, author interviews. This week I have 4 new reviews for you folks at home. Recording the podcast a little bit early this week before Thanksgiving, just because it's a nice holiday-ish weekend. Everybody's busy, so I want to make sure I get this out and record it for everybody. This week, I will be reviewing World Tree Online, The Endless Savanna, which is the third dive. Oddly enough, 4th book in the series, though. Also, we're reviewing the Dimensional Wars, Dravincia, and The Culling of Man, a LitRPG adventure, Peril's Prodigy, book number 1. And then we'll also be looking at Ian's Pick of the Week, which will just be, Ian's Pick of the Week. We'll just have one review for us this week, though. But before we get into any of that, though, we're going to go into LitRPG news. And in LitRPG news, we have a couple good stories here, including Shriners Hospital for Children. The Game Society is still going with their annual charity drive for this particular cause. And for those who want to participate, just a small reminder that this charity drive is live now, but it finishes at the end of the month. And unfortunately, the goal is a little bit shy of what the group was hoping to put together and to raise. Their goal is $3,000 this year. But again, they're just a tiniest bit shy. So if you can give, please do so. If you can't give, share the post. Hopefully we'll be able to make up the rest of that money and meet that goal of $3,000 to give to the Shriners Hospital for Children, which is an amazing cause. We'll have a link in the show notes. It's a GoFundMe page for the Game Society Philanthropy. So we've done it the last groups in the last couple of years. And the podcast, of course, always donates. On other LitRPG news, we are going to start some deals this week. There will be a 25% off of ticket sales for Fantasy Book Fest on Friday, November the 29th, so like Friday. The actual event, Fantasy Book Fest, is held in Anaheim in April 2020. It's a few blocks from Disneyland, and attendees will apparently be getting a discounted ticket for the park if you're interested in that as well. There are going to be several LitRPG authors there who will be attending, including Ramon Mejia, James A. Hunter, Domino Fan, and Apollo's Thorn. So if you happen to live in the area, Southern California, and it's a great chance to meet some of your favorite authors. There's actually a lot of other authors there as well, but everybody else is more like fantasy authors. And these are our LitRPG people. So, but not to say that you don't have other fantasy authors that you're enjoying. But this is the LitRPG Podcast, so that's who I'm interested in. And plus, super cheap. Tickets are just cheaper if you buy them on November 29th, 25% off. So that's not insignificant. So go purchase them, save some money, come hang out with us. We'll be doing book signings, a bunch of panels that are really fun for authors and for readers. So hopefully it'll be a nice event. First time attending myself personally. I'll be attending as author Ramon Mejia, just full disclosure. But we'll link the notes at fantasybookfest.com if you want to go purchase tickets. Hopefully you'll see you soon there. In other LitRPG deals this week, Black Friday is coming close, and lots of stuff from Amazon, from Audible, from all kinds of locations. There's apparently a whole long list of Audible Black Friday deals. There are going to be some LitRPG stories in that audiobook deal section, but you do apparently have to be an Audible member to see them, and I'm not. So I've had to use secondhand information to put a few titles together, including Rogue Dungeon, Delvers 3, are both going to be on that Audible Black Friday deal. And I'm sure there are going to be more titles, some pulled from LitRPG. But definitely go check out that deal if you're Audible and you want to get $5 audiobooks for some of your LitRPG titles. I'm sure there are going to be some there. But I do have actual links for the ebook sales that are going on right now, up until Black Friday, and some go beyond, including Dragon Seed. And I'm going to read off the ones that are going to be free first. Dragon Seed, a LitRPG Dragon Rider adventure, their first book in that series, will be free from November 29th to the 30th. The Arabellan Chronicles, book 3, oddly enough, will be free from the 29th to the December the 1st. Sinister Troll will be free from November 28th to November 30th. Pangea Online, book 1, will be free from November 28th to the 30th as well. And stuff that's not technically free, but like 99 cents or half off, or good deals, including Blaze Corwin's. All of the first books in all of his series are going to be on sale, either 99 cents still or half off, till the end of November. So apparently that's limited to the US store for some reason. That's just what he says. So, but definitely has some nice deals there. I love Delver Trilogy and basically anything Blaze has ever written. Also on sale is Void Legion, 99 cents. Hall, the book one of the Ryclean Saga, 99 cents until the end of November. Jonathan Brooks' Dungeon World series, which is very popular. Book one is free now. Book 2 and 3 are 99 cents on November 29th, so Black Friday. So there you go. The Realms, books 1 through 3, is on sale until the end of November. The latest book in that series just came out. So that's part of that, incentive as well to get into that series. World Tree Online's books 1 through 3 by M.A. Carlson will be on sale until December the 3rd. The Fifth Survivor books 1 through 6 will be on sale until December the 7th. The Underworld Collection, and that's going to be the one by Apollo Sloan. There's actually an omnibus apparently for books 1 through 3, which is super interesting because that's like 300,000 words. And apparently it's on sale for $4.99, which is about half of what it should be basically. Because again, that's again 300,000 words. But it's also on Kindle Unlimited, so definitely go check that out. The Illusion, the Black Light Chronicles, book 1 will also be on sale for 99 cents from November 29th to December the 6th for that one. And there are also a few selections that are on sale after Black Friday. There's actually a whole collection of female authors who have pulled their talents together and did a coordinated sale for their stuff from December the 2nd to the 9th. These books are going to be free or 99 cents for that time period, including the Fortress of Shadows, Stonehaven, book number 2 in that series, A Dungeon's Desire by Eden Red, Guardians of the Round Table, Dexterity Call, which is the first book in that series, Somnia Online book number 1, Initialization will be on sale as well. The Warped Forest, Game Makers Online will be on sale as well. And Patera Online books 1 through 3 as an omnibus will be a part of that deal as well. So definitely go check everything out. So there you go. On to stuff that has come out in the near future, in the recent past, I should say. It's out now. Haven't had a chance to read it, including Chaos Rising: The Realms book number 6, which we were just mentioning before. And also Stormlands, a new LitRPG venture. So there you go. All kinds of new stuff. Just a couple titles, I mean. We'd have more audiobooks that came out recently in the last week, including Riveting Airline, Dead Man's Tide, Illusionist series book number 2 is out for audiobook. Awaken Online Ember, Tarot, book number 1. Also, At Large, Small Medium, book number 2 is out for Audible. The Warped Forest, Game Makers Online, book number 1 is out as an audiobook. And the Crafter, Legacy Crafter series, book number 1, out as an audiobook. So they're actually really enjoyed that last one, especially. I'm always a fan of crafty stories. In upcoming LitRPG, this is just where I read up a bunch of stuff that's coming out in the near future for you folks. So feel free to follow along or skip ahead as you see fit. But there are some new additions here. Axiom, a Divine Engine series novel, Arturian Archives book number 1, will be out on November 29th, Black Friday specifically. And again, we're recording this a little bit earlier than that, so that's in my future technically. Also on November the 30th, it'll be Darkness Conquered, Darkness Online book number 3. On December the 1st, and this is an adjustment in this particular release schedule, it was dated later before, and is now out on December the 1st. Downtime and Death, Apocalypse Gates book number 5. On December the 1st as well, it'll be Rebel Star, a LitRPG post System Apocalypse book number. That's what it really is. System Apocalypse book number 8. Fourth book in the Dream State Saga will be out on December the 3rd. The fourth book in the Dungeon World series, which you just mentioned, one of those deals promoting it, will be out on December the 5th, so you have time to catch up on that series. On December the 9th, Level Up Knockout book number 2. December the 10th, The Last Time Loop. December the 3rd, the third book in the Hero Online series. December the 14th, the 7th book in the Good Guy series. December the 15th, Path of Darkness, Black Flame Online. On December the 18th, Respawn, book number 4. December the 20th, the third book in the Chronicles of Ethan series. December 23rd, Underdog, book number 2. January the 6th, this will be a new book from Vasily Mahenko, author of the Way Shaman series. It'll be called No Mistakes, World of Changed, book number 1. On January the 9th, it'll be Discardian, book number 3. January the 22nd, it'll be the fourth book in the Dragonheart series. January 24th, the fourth book in the Hero Online series. February the 6th, the third book in the Bad Guy series, written by Eric Ugland. February the 10th, the second book in the Evasion series, also written by Vasily Mahenko and set in the Barleone universe. February 29th, fourth book in the Seeds of Chaos series. different than the Chaos Seed series, so just don't get them confused. Don't get your hopes up on that one either. On March the 9th, it'll be the Incarnator, the Project Stellar book number 1. So there we go, folks. All the stuff I know it's coming out in the near future. Again, if you're an author and you have something planned out and it's not on this list and it is LitRPG, that is a qualifier. Feel free to let us know about it at litrpgpodcast.com. No, it's feedback at geekbitespodcast.com or litrpgpodcast@gmail.com. Either one of those addresses. But on to new releases and reviews. And we're going to begin this week with reviews for World Tree Online, The Endless Savanna Third Dive, which is the 4th book in the series, written by M.A. Carlson. It is 540 pages, $4.99. It is available on Kindle Unlimited. And here is the author's description. Chaos has found a way to strike at the world, and now Bye Bye has just 1 week to return to the World Tree, or more players will be made to suffer the same real-world consequences. Hoping to find answers, Bye Bye races across the country to the headquarters of Seed Inc., the makers of the World Tree Online. Back in the World Tree, the endless Savanna awaits, a place often called a province with no end. With tribal politics, twisted beasts and monsters, and a deadly slave ring, there are more than enough dangers awaiting. Bye Bye and his friends will fight as they always have, but it still might not be enough. Will the endless Savanna be the end of their winning streak? So there we go. Full disclosure, I received a man's copy for review. I purchased a copy when it became available. I really actually like this story. It was enjoyable. I've enjoyed every other book in the series. This one had a really strong opening, probably one of the strongest openings in the series so far. And from the very first chapter, I was engaged with the narrative and transported back to the end of the last book. There was kind of a cliffhanger right there. And it's just like, it's like I was super engaged as soon as I got to chapter 1. The prologue was a little bit, oh, that's nice history, and it ties in the story, but chapter 1 definitely pulled me deep into the story. So good for you, Mark. Carlson, the rest of the story outside of the real world storyline, which is quite nice, actually. The rest of the story is basically still in the game, though, so don't worry that it's taking the game for too long of a period. There is a werewolf plotline, which has already been mentioned in the novel description. But again, it's a shorter section. I honestly wish it was longer because I would have loved to have seen the consequences of the thing that happened, which I'm not going to spoil for you. But again, most of the story does still take place in the game, as it should, as a LitRPG story. That section of the novel is very slice of life. It has, again, those whiny kind of past storylines sometimes, but again, it's enjoyable stuff. There's good banter, there's good action, slice of life adventuring, group humor, all the stuff that's kind of a hallmark of this particular series. If you like books 1 through 3, you're going to like book 4 because the characters are returning that you enjoyed. The same action, adventure, RPG progression, all that stuff is there. So there were a few fights that I wasn't too amazed with, but on the whole, it's a good overall story, and it didn't end with the cliffhangers this time, so that's always a plus. It gets a score of 7.5 out of 10 for me. It's World Tree Online, Endless Savanna, Third Dive, with a score of 7.5 out of 10. And next we have The Dimensional Wars, Dravincia, written by Blake Severson. It is 474 pages, $4.99. It is available on Kindle Unlimited. Here's the author's description. A goddess is stirring up trouble, and Arthur happens to be the one caught up in the action. After an unfortunate encounter, Arthur is given a second chance in a new world. To his surprise, this new world has mechanics that remind him of role-playing games on Earth. He has been given a simple directive from the goddess to help the people of the world and spread her name. He quickly discovers this will not be an easy task. The world has been overrun with bandits who work for the lords of the land and cause all the denizens to live in abject ruin. Can Arthur tame Dravincia and push back against those forces, or he is destined to fail spectacularly and have to hope for another try? So there we go. This story is definitely a mixed bag. I liked some aspects of it, but overall it just didn't work for me. And I'll go into reasons why. But first, I'm talking about things I actually liked. Eventually in the storyline, this is a minor spoiler. The main character gets earth magic, and that particular progression path and the development of the magic system and the way the main character used that particular magic system, the magic ability, was actually really well done. It was nicely thought out. I love some of the abilities that were there. And I actually like the fact that also the author applied that magical system to farming and made it a part of like the town building the town building aspect of the storyline. I thought that was like a nice little touch there and something I've been seeing very often. I also like the town building that does happen in the story. The game mechanics on the whole are fairly normal. You get leveling, skill systems, stuff I've seen other places before. So there's nothing really new there in that location. The story is definitely number heavy, or numbers, like it's definitely crunchy. So if you like that crunchy LitRPG, that's going to be a positive aspect for you here. I will say for me, there are definitely some places where there are just too many notifications, too many numbers, all in one location. Sometimes I think the longest was 10 pages just full of tables and notifications all in one section. And that's kind of, I feel like that's probably not necessary. There's an explanation in the story, so it's not just for no reason. But again, it's kind of like probably a little bit too much. And on regular occasions, there are just like groupings of tables that just fill up more than half of a page at a time. And this is also complained some other reviews for the novel, in that they felt it was a little too many notifications, and they feel like it's a little bit fillery. I don't believe that's be the case, but even I was like, oh, okay, this is probably a lot of information I don't need to see again for 10 pages long. So small little note there. However, those are the aspects I enjoyed about the story. There are other huge issues for me, at least. One, never connected with the characters. The main character is not a terrible person. It's just, I didn't care about him. Didn't really care about him or any of the other characters. They weren't bad characters. I just didn't engage with them. Also, action in the story was written, it's okay. It's not like an amazing action story. And the fight scenes are just kind of okay. Not bad, not amazing, just okay. The beginning of the story has some technical writing issues, and part of me seeing this is probably the fact that I'm editing a book currently, so my brain is kind of in editor mode. But I noticed a lot of mixed tenses, issues with identifying who's being spoken of in the third person, because the story is written in third person, technically past tense, I think, but it often very much goes into third person present tense sometimes, which is an issue. And I have some examples in the actual review of some examples of some of the dialogue issues and some of the tense issues. So if you want to read that, feel free to do so. But needless to say, there are just technical writing issues and as the story goes on, that becomes less so, but the beginning is the part that people seem to be dropping because they can't get through some of it. Other issues for me, though, is some of the particular dialogue choices. The way the main character speaks felt really stilted. And so for me, it's hard to engage with the characters when I felt like their speech was intentionally role-player-ish. And if you've ever played an MMO on a role-playing server, you kind of know what I mean, and that people intentionally speak a little more archaic to create flair, to create to get into their character. And that's kind of what it felt like the main character was doing on this world, even though there was really no need to. And so it's just hard for me to connect with the character because of that. Worse for me, though, this is a big personal peeve, though. The storyline was really forced. And what I mean by that is that things happen in the plot line to solve conflicts and to solve issues that weren't initiated or done by the main character, or like events would occur. There's like, oh, that is no foundation in the story whatsoever. There are no mechanics for that. There's no like setup for this whatsoever. And it just magically solves a problem. It's very one-wavy, and plot lines are forced in certain directions just because that's what needs to happen sometimes. And for me, it's one of those things that really bugs me, because I feel like I'm being forced in a direction where the character isn't really going to make these choices, but he's forced to do it because of some perceived plotline. The main character rarely got powers, items, and abilities he didn't earn. They were kind of just given to him. Even the end of the story is resolved not by the main character using hard-won and practiced magic or good tactics, and he definitely trains to do this in the story, which is why it's particularly frustrating. Instead, the final resolution happens because the main character uses a never-before-seen power that has no connection with his earth magic or any other part of the story, and is kind of explained away in the epilogue as like, oh, that thing you just saw, here's the explanation of why it works, but that's how we resolve the story. So all that stuff really bugged me. Overall, again, Other people like this story, and that's totally cool. We can like different things, but for me, I just couldn't. Some parts again were smart and well thought out, but I had other issues that kind of ruined my enjoyment of the story, and that's kind of me. So for me, Dimensional Wars Dravincia gets a score of 6 out of 10. Okay, we have The Culling of Man, a LitRPG adventure, Peril's Prodigy, book number 1, written by Craig Kobayashi. It is 473 pages, $3.99. It is available on Kindle Unlimited. Here's the author's description. Earth becomes the full immersion experience LitRPG readers fantasize about, but at what cost? Figuring out how to cast spells without the luxury of a controller or a keyboard was the least of Gareth's worries when the culling got underway. Though some elements of the new interface were familiar to the lifelong gamer, there was a lot he didn't understand. What exactly does the culling have in store for mankind? What will loot be like on this Earth? And if this is supposed to be like an MMO, where are all the gosh darn hot elves? Follow Gareth as his mismatched group of friends and neighbors attempt to survive the 24-hour event. Okay. This came out several weeks ago. It's been on my backlog reading list, and I just haven't had time this week to read it. And from the cover and the novel description, I really wouldn't have guessed what kind of story this is. The cover, to me, looks a little more cultivation-esque. And the culling description in the novel description is so vague and not described well that it's kind of meaningless. But once I got into the novel, I was pleasantly surprised to find that it's a well thought out RPG apocalypse story, which is again not what I would have guessed from this particular cover and that description. The storyline is basically all the tech on the Earth goes out. A worldwide notification appears in everyone's vision saying that a wave of monsters will appear to kill them, and they have a few hours to prepare. Classic RPG apocalypse stuff with like waves of monsters added in. That's basically what this story is. The main character chooses a class. He becomes a caster summoner class called a necrologist, which is basically demonologist. Can summon demons, cast range damage spells. And it's an interesting class in itself. Nice progression, nice class abilities. There's lots of like class discussion and thought process as the main character chooses his particular powers and how he's going to use them. So good stuff there. But the storyline isn't single player. Instead, the main character immediately gets together with like the neighbors and a group of like survivors in his building, and it becomes kind of this collective endeavor to survive the RPG apocalypse, to fend off monsters and to survive. And so that the community aspect is definitely a core part of the story. Game mechanic wise, things are going to be real familiar if you've read LitRPG before. Notifications, RPG progression, familiar stats, character sheets, all the good stuff. Again, the main character gets stats and skill points every level to customize his class. And there's definitely a good gamer thought process of like main character deciding what kind of build he's going to make, and how he's going to use his abilities in conjunction to help everyone survive, basically. Good, well thought out, cringy stuff if you like that. The story leans on the apocalypse stuff, apocalypse survival stuff, which isn't bad. I like RPG apocalypse stories, like apocalypse stories. They always have good tension, high stakes stuff because it's life and death. And there's plenty of people in the story to kill to prove it. The increased difficulty of the waves of monsters keeps the combat interesting and forces the group to work together and to strategize or die. So good stuff. Overall, had a good time reading the story. I'd honestly just wish I read it sooner. It's quite enjoyable. Gets, of course, 7.8 out of 10. That's The Culling of Man, a LitRPG adventure, Peril's Prodigy, book number 1. And up next, we have Ian's Picks of the Week, which is a segment which community member Ian Mitchell sends us some reviews and helps to flesh out the stories that I can't read or don't have time to, or just the different things that he reads that I don't happen to have an interest or time to read sometimes. And so this week he just has one review. Everybody's busy with Thanksgiving in the United States, so it is what it is. And so I thank him for contributing this particular review. And this week is for Battle Avatars, The Forlorn Earth, a gamelet, I can never say this word, Shanxia, Battle Avatars book number. So cultivation and stuff. I think it's the American version of that, or the English version. This is his review of this novel. It's titled Seriously Trippy. Sometimes game, sometimes dream-like. Battle Avatars reminds me of Endless Online, which is a series, by the way, that I really like. that I've enjoyed, I should say. Yes, it's confusing, making some sense by the end. D&D on drugs, which is a very interesting description. Escort missions and dungeons with a spiritual psychic war raging underneath. Somewhat more challenging reading. I hope this makes more sense in book 3. Which that is a mixed review if I've ever heard one. But he still enjoyed it. He gave it a score of 7.8 out of 10. So I'm glad Ian enjoyed the Xantia Gamelet novel, Battle Avatars. Again, I don't really read a lot of Xantia or Cultivation stuff. Ian's been on a kick on it, so I'm happy that he's pulling in stuff for us and for our readers and for our viewers to help diversify the kind of stuff we have here and can tell you about. So there we go. So thanks, Ian, for your pick of the week. Okay, folks, that is the end. We are finished. It's a short episode because it's at the holiday week for us. And so I want to make sure I get this out before the holiday so everybody can have time to enjoy their turkey, gobble gobble, and go out and buy some Black Friday deals on LitRPG. Plenty of good things out there. Remember, you can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Patreon, our webpage. And we have a bunch of links on our show notes for great LitRPG groups where you can meet your favorite authors, talk to them, talk about LitRPG, and all kinds of great stuff that we all enjoy. This week, if you want to help support the podcast, please make sure you share your favorite episodes, share it on social media, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, like, share, and all those little things really do help the podcast get more views, helps it spread throughout the social media verse so we can spread the love of LitRPG for you folks. But thanks again for hanging out with me. I hope you guys have a great holiday week. If you're not celebrating Thanksgiving, I hope you guys have a wonderful week just because you're all great and amazing and I love you all. But again, thanks a lot for hanging out with me today. Until we hang out again, remember to go read some LitRPG. Goodbye, everybody.